Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is turn 43. Preparations continue for the war against Pythium. As you can see, my troops will be in place in the next turn. I'm debating, because next turn I could launch the attack, or I could move. All of my scouts were killed, by the way. All the scouts that I was trying to move through here, all the scouts who went into Wachi were murdered. And we can see what's patrolling there is just a Great Hawk and 40 Black Hawks. This is an incredibly effective patrol group. Now, it's not a good combat group, but it's good enough to kill scouts. So Vanheim is using Black Hawks just as border guards to murder scouts to try and prevent people from getting vision of his insides. He's not entirely succeeding. I did get Kinori in, because I have access through here, where he does not have many patrollers. He also does not have much by way of defenses in general on this side. This fort has significant defenses. But over here, this army, or these armies, I should say, since there are multiple, I've got about a little over 200 units here. I've got about 80 units here. And in Shinuyama itself, I've also got about 80 units, if I recall correctly. A little fewer than that, actually. About 50 units, it looks like. But, in any case, recruitment-wise, I have switched both of these forts over to pump out a whole bunch of cavemen. I'm actually using all my recruitment points to pump out, I forget exactly how many this is, but a lot of cavemen. This is like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 cavemen. So over 100 siege strength worth of cavemen in the next turn. Will more than double my siege strength here. This army, led by Amphimakos and Asopos, is moving down to the caverns of Gnek, where I am getting one more round of, I don't know why you are set to defend. We're getting one more round of cave crabs. So this place is going to have, like, more than 200, almost 300 siege strength. This army is only 132 siege strength, and actually I was going to be recruiting Cyclops here, but I've thought better of it. Instead, I'm just going to pump out some more Heelot warriors. And those Heelot warriors will lead the charge. From this side, I have a whole bunch of archers already, some warriors. This army will be joining them with another 84 or so troops. Yeah, and this army will move up here next turn. So next turn, we're going to hit this fort and break it. It will break instantly. Once we've done that, it will be a question of how I want to assault the fort. And I'm thinking I might want to assault the fort with a communion and just cast some battlefield wipes to try and get rid of it. I'm actually using up all of my fire gems this turn because I just hit construction level 6. And so all of my fire gems are going to forge lightless lanterns. That will still leave me enough fire gems to give to mages for the upcoming battle. And so I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is, what could actually be handy to have more fire gems, but I've got earth gems. So what I'm thinking is, I break the fort, most of my armies actually move on, and what I leave is, I leave a communion, and the communion, quote-unquote, assaults the fort, and what they actually do is, they stand way in the back where arrows won't really hit them, and they battlefield wipe the fortress to death with Firestorm and Earthquake. Costs a lot of gems, lets my troops keep moving with still some magical support, because I've counted out the communion slaves and such that I have available, and I think I can pretty much keep rolling. Next turn, this army with all of these troops will move forward to this province. That army might come to attack me if it is still there, which I would kind of anticipate it is. I will also give them the gems that they will need to activate battlefield wipes. And so these first two battles, I'm hoping I can decide by the deployment of basically Earthquake and Firestorm. Now, Firestorm will actually be more effective on my own troops, or at least as effective on my own troops as it will be on the enemy troops. But by buffing up my Communions defensively, I should be able to mitigate its damage to my mages. I don't really want to cast Firestorm from Communions is the thing. I want to cast it from Tyrants. I can get a Sopos up to Fire 6, and he can then cast Phoenix Power, which pushes him up to Fire 7. That means he can cast Firestorm for less than 200 fatigue, and then reinvigorate himself back awake relatively quickly, while wearing gear that makes him already extremely tough. The goal, naturally, will be for a Sopos to drop Firestorm and then kind of loaf around for a while no one really fights him, and then go into combat or start casting spells again. Probably just go into combat. And I'm also bringing Amphimachos, who is leading a very significantly sized army. Shaikal also has troops. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give Shaikal's troops to a Sopos along with Peloris's archers. So yeah, we'll have all of our troops here moving out with Amphimachos and a Sopos. Peloris is staying behind one turn because he needs to forge a Skull of Fire, and then we will have him move out as well. So, also next turn we will be giving the order to begin clearing Pythium out of the lake, which shouldn't be too hard. Lake Purple at least will be a relatively easy fight. It's all Triton Troopers and Mermen. I have some Triton Troopers of my own. About 32 of them. And then I also have a whole bunch of Triton Guard and Turtle Warriors. Turtle Warriors and Triton Troopers are similar in combat. Turtle Warriors aren't quite as good, but they're close. And then Triton Guard are worse, but they're still better than Mermen. And I also have another 20 Triton Guard moving up from over here. So I will simply overwhelm the Triton Troopers with numbers and push forward to take these other underwater provinces. Mercenary-wise, I could try to hire some mercenaries. Helmut's Sappers. I don't know what the Whisperer is. I really don't know. I legitimately do not know who that is. But I may try to hire them. He's got Mage Gibur. Yeah, tell you what, let's hire... Obviously, when he opens up his next turn and sees the armies massed on his border, Pythium is going to know what's happening. Like, there's no way this can be misinterpreted as anything except what it is. So, gonna have to be prepared for that. He may, if he's feeling aggressive, he may take this army and move them both here, in order to try and fight part of my army while the other part is busy. That would be a gutsy move. I don't think it would pay off for him, especially because I can have Benim coming up with those 81 Helit archers as well, and Fenag with his Cyclops. Let's swap these guys out for Helit warriors, actually. Let's get 15 Helit warriors there. Interestingly, let's look at my army size graph. Notice that spike? Yeah, that's how my army size goes up when I have tyrants capturing as well as various recruitments going on. So I still have 364 gold actually. Wow. I'm just out of resources over here. Yeah. That's the thing. I want Helit warriors for their melee combat abilities, but at the same time, Helit archers are just much more efficient at actually expending my resources. I don't mean literally resources, I mean resources. You know what I mean when I say resources. Let's turn these guys into archers, and we'll get some Gigantes to go with my tyrants. Let's just mass up some archers here. Shift-click recruits 10 at a time, interestingly, if you're interested in knowing how it is that I'm doing that. Up here, I've busted into both of these forts. I didn't actually fight any battles this turn, except a lot of scouts were killed. I killed some scouts, and then I lost a ton of scouts. I lost basically any scout that moved onto a fortress was killed. people are doing a really good job of patrolling their fortresses in this game, which is a little bit unfortunate because I wanted to be able to see their fortresses. But whatever, we're going to be able to, I'm going to smash them. I will be shocked if I don't manage to take Gold Crags within like 2 turns. I will be legitimately surprised if I can't crack this fort in 2 turns. I may have to commit my whole army to do it, but I can do it. Simultaneously, of course, that is a Lar. Oh, so he's summoning Lars. 1 second, let me check what that spell is. Okay, that's just Conjuration 5. That's nothing too terribly worrisome, and it's an Earth, Water, Nature Crosspath Mage. He does have quite a few Camazots, which are a little bit more worrisome. They're like Death and Blood Mages, but they're not too terribly powerful even so. I have decided I'm not going to go to war with Vanheim. At least not just yet. I'm going to move this big army down. I'm probably also going to move Electos down. I may... I was about to say I may give him stealth gear and sneak him through Vanheim's territory, but as heavily as Vanheim is patrolling, that probably won't work. So instead, I'm just going to have to give him speed gear and zip him down and around. This big couple of stacks, this 210 units, they will slowly move down and around to join the assault on Pythium. We're going to leave Vanheim alone for the moment. We'll come back to them. Once Pythium's resistance is broken, we'll come back, we'll hit Vanheim. Now, Pythium's resistance breaking, if all goes well, won't take long, because we'll have Uruk attacking, we'll have Tianqi attacking, and we'll have Abyssia attacking. So this whole section of Pythium's empire should collapse in really short order. Like, their forts should be under siege within a couple of turns. This section may be harder, but we'll kind of have to see how that goes as we move into it. What I'm hoping, my vision, assuming nothing goes wrong, which of course it will, everything will go wrong, that is guaranteed. My vision is I hit this place, bust the fort. The next turn I both take the fort and take these 3 provinces. The turn after that I besiege Pavonia, and ideally also lay siege to Pythium. Like, if everything breaks my way and nothing goes wrong, and all of my armies win all of their battles, and casualties are unexpectedly light, which they won't be. Casualties will be incredibly heavy. I will be bleeding, like, I will be leaving a trail of shattered Heelot corpses behind me, as I have in every major battle so far. But if that didn't happen, then on turn 50, I would have 1 fort owned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 or 10 provinces, and 2 other forts, including the capital, under siege. That would be my perfect end to this war. And then Tianqi gets all this, and Uruk gets like all this, and Abyssia gets kind of this. I would actually hope that Uruk would get Celeria, because I don't want Abyssia getting more capitals. They already have enough territory and enough gem income as it is. And of course I get the water. And then after that, I eat Vanheim, and then I probably go to war with Agartha, or possibly Abyssia. But in any case, we'll see how that goes. This is going to be my turn, basically. I'm going to scan through real quick to make sure it's nothing but scouts that I'm missing. These scouts I'm going to send out. Honestly, the most irritating part about Vanheim being so good at patrolling is that my scouts are having a really hard time penetrating Abyssia as a result. Like, I've now finally gotten some scouts into Abyssia. But even so, Abyssia is also patrolling their forts very heavily, and so my scouts are just taking a lot of casualties pretty much everywhere. In any case, we'll see what's going on. That is a very large and powerful army of Uruk that just attacked this vampire rebellion that had cropped up in Exobothia. This is a random event that spawns a vampire count and a bunch of thralls and vampires. And this army was over here. I think Uruk had been preparing to go to war against Agartha, and now he's turned this army around. It's primarily Iron Warriors with a large contingent of Maidens of the Moon. And once again, only a few mages. You can... I don't mean to be insulting when I say this, so Kosar, please don't be insulted by this, but you can see that Kosar is new because he's putting a lot more emphasis on troops and a lot less emphasis on mages than is really appropriate. At this stage of the game, this many troops, like, I deploy armies with this many troops, and my troops are a lot cheaper and less of an investment than Enkidu Iron Warriors. And my armies also have like 30 mages. Admittedly, most of them are Communion slaves, but I still have like 7 or 8 guys casting behind an army of this size. Whereas he has, let me see, 1, 2, 3. And they're all just Nature 2, basically. I think that's the entirety of his magical power in this army. So, on the other side, we've got the Vampire Rebellion. So they have some Blood Slaves, they've got a Vampire Count, exactly the same as the Vampire Count unit that Ulm can recruit. 2 death, 2 blood. And then they have these Vampires, and Vampires are regenerating troops with a Life Drain attack and Invulnerability 25. So against regular, like, human troops, oh, also they fly, and of course they're undead. And they're slash and blunt resistant, so they only take half damage from those things. So against regular human troops, vampires are really hard to deal with. Giants can deal with them, and people with magic can deal with them, but regular human troops have trouble. Sigebert looks like he's going to cast Raise Dead. There go the vampires charging in. So they charged in on the Iron Warriors, which is a bad place for them to be, because the Iron Warriors do hit hard enough to get through their regeneration and resistance and all that sometimes. On top of that, they are spamming banishment spells onto those guys. These are just, like, garbage human units. Back here, Sigebert seems to be continuing to raise dead, which also isn't going to help. You can see here, though, how very, very resilient the vampires are. It's been several rounds now, and while under constant banishment bombardment and constantly being attacked by powerful, berserking giant units, these vampires are not going down without a fight. They're taking some of the enemy with them, and they're delaying 90% of the army, not 90%, they're delaying 80% of the army for round after round after round. While up here, a much smaller group of Iron Warriors are just happily chewing through the undead spam that Sigebert is throwing at them. So the vampires finally go, the independent armies are routed, Sigebert is fatigued out, and he raises dead one more time because he'll be damned if he's going out without a fight, and then is murdered. But still, those vampires, in that situation, to get 13 kills against armored Enkidu is actually pretty impressive. Other battles. It is not Agartha's lucky day. It is not Nasajin's lucky day. He lost 2 provinces to attacks by knights, which I'm pretty sure is only random events. I don't think there's a spell that summons knights to attack a province. So, that was bad. Unexpected events. I lost taxes and income in Jintmark, but I had my 3rd troll event of the game, and it gave me a Shield of Valor and a whole bunch of gems and a little bit of money. So, like, I ain't complaining. In Nazca, Tianxi attacked Ashdod and won, so they stormed the fort yet again. This time, they're doing it in proper style. They've got a sizable army, and in the back, where are their Imperial? Aha, interesting. They've stacked their Imperial Geomancers in with their Horse Brothers. I'm not entirely sure why they did that, but they have. And in the back, in the very back, they have 1 Imperial Alchemist carrying 1 Air Gem. So let's see what they're doing. It looks like they're casting Body Ethereal. Okay, they're etherealizing the Horse Brothers, it looks like. Yes, it looks like they're focusing on making their Horse Brothers ethereal. Interesting strategy. I'm not sure why they're doing that. The Tianxi Heavy Horsemen have gotten in here and are fighting the Clockwork Soldiers. You've also got ethereal troops on the other side. The Ashdod's AI-controlled Emite and Zamzumite seem to be spamming out Soulless. Not perhaps the most efficient use of time. Okay, so wait, I missed something. Okay, yeah, the Imperial Geomancers are still there. The Horse Brothers... he's set the Horse Brothers to attack. And so they are now... Ah, I see what he was trying to do. He was trying to get them to go through the walls, because ethereal units can pass through walls without stopping. Didn't quite work out for them. Also, I don't know why all these soulless are just back here. Ah, they're fighting Tianxi heavy horsemen. But the cavalry stormed through, the Ashdodite infantry is dead, so it's just cavalry against ethereal undead now until they finish off that nonsense. Looks like some of them have routed, and now the archers are starting to come into melee as they're running out of ammunition. Oh, and there go the Horse Brothers. Yep, they're off the field. But the armies of Ashdod are finished. All that's left is a couple of these Zamzumites that are not going to be able to hold off the enemy. So there we go. That's the end of it. Tianxi did take some casualties, and their surviving Horse Brothers did run, which is a bit of a pain for them. But overall, a very successful battle. Oh, there were 2 Malaks here as well. Interesting. Malaks are stealthy, slightly invulnerable priests, mainly used for stealth breaching. So, yeah, that's the plan. The Python, the god of Phasia, has finally been vanquished. They finally took whatever that last fort was that Phasia had. So, that's the plan, and next turn we will issue attack orders and go in. I do anticipate that probably for a turn or two I'll be fighting more or less alone. Uruk, of course, has their big death stack over here. I imagine they have more armies, but I don't really see them because, once again, stepping on forts is death for scouts in this game. I have okay vision, but not great vision. Tianxi, likewise, I'm going to try stepping on the dead forest to see what's up, but I don't see any troops in position yet, which worries me slightly. But I'm committed. At this point, I'm going in come hell or high water. I think I could probably beat Pythium alone. At the very least, I can carve a whole bunch of provinces off them and then hold them. So, we'll see what develops. And Vanheim, we still have a non-aggression pact, and he should, if he's judging the balance of power here, he should be too scared of me to try to backstab me at this point. It would be a dumb idea for him to attack me while I'm fighting Pythium, because this army and the mages that I have up here alone could probably rule most of Vanheim. They would take casualties doing it, but I think I could successfully prosecute a liberation of Vanheim just with these 2 forts once I capture this one. And I could support it with Lapintha as well. So, in any case, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in turn 44, where the invasion will commence. Oh, wait, actually, I forgot. I forgot what I was going to do. I was going to do Water Sage, Water Sage, Water Sage. That's right, Woven Winter requires 3 water. Yeah, it's not going to happen in time. I mean, technically, I guess this is jumping the gun by 1 turn. But I don't really want to hold off is the thing. I mean, I could hold off. I could hold off for 1 more turn. Keep these guys patrolling for 1 more turn. Change my orders to not be recruiting, because as soon as he sees the Cyclops recruitment and the troops moving here, that's what will make it clear that I am launching an attack. That will make it, like, really, really obvious. But at the same time, I feel like he's going to figure it out pretty soon anyway, and I would like to get the jump on him to some extent. So, like, now that I've hit Construction 6, one thing that I can do is I can forge, not the Rhyme Hauberk, I can forge this, the Water Bracelet. So now I can ramp up water really easily, because the Water Bracelet makes me Water 3. At Water 3, the Robe of the Sea makes me Water 4. And then I can use that to cast, like, you know, the Sea King's Court and spells like that. Once I get some water income, which right now I don't really have, despite having searched almost everywhere in water. Speaking of searching in water, we're going to search a few more places in water. Oh my, scouts for days. I have been forgetting to move these guys. So let's just launch them into areas that I don't have vision, and see how many of them get through. That's like my strategy with scouts in this game. It's just send them in. See what happens. If they make it, they make it. If they don't make it, well, they'll be sorely missed. Dearly departed, we are gathered here today in memory of, etc., etc. In memory of, fill in the blank. Research-wise, I am not going to hit Construction 7, sorry, this turn. I will hit it next turn. So for my first battle, I will not be able to script Weapons of Sharpness. For the second battle and the actual siege, I will be able to script Weapons of Sharpness, which will be pretty fantastic. Assuming that battlefield wipes don't just clear the board, which they could well, but we'll kind of, you know, we'll play it by ear. We'll kind of see how that develops. So, that is going to be that. Now, this is actually something I did not test. Weapons of Sharpness is a unit quality that applies to all their weapons. That should apply to ranged attacks. Oh, I'm sorry, I hadn't even realized this, but Weapons of Sharpness should, assuming I'm not totally wrong about how it functions, it should apply to ranged attacks, which means it should make my healed archers into crossbowmen. I hadn't realized that. I hadn't thought about that. Oh, that's... That's kind of hilarious. They still won't be super efficient against Pythium, because Pythium has these big old shields that they use, but it's, that's an interesting little thing that I hadn't considered. So, in any case, that's going to be the turn. I'll see you in turn 44. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is honor turn 44. And I found a magic site, which is nice. I found the Flaming Tomb in Nom, searching with my Revenant there. So that's another death and another fire gem per turn. Great, I love death gems. Fire gems are okay. In terms of what's happening this turn, Agartha has taken back both their provinces that were captured by knights. Excuse me, a few casualties, nothing too impressive. I took both of Shinuyama's fortresses. I took Lapintha, first of all, and I took Cormark. So in this battle, I have this shaman scripted to become a communion master for reasons that I don't fully recall, but in any case, that boosted him to level 4. He's going... Oh, that's right. He's going to cast Wooden Warriors on my infantry here, while my Communion Masters are layering Earth buffs. So right now, these guys here in the middle are Protection 19, Strength 14, thanks to their Legions of Steel and their stacked Legions of Steel and Iron Warriors. And then, my mages are going to start casting Thunder Strikes. And what Thunder Strikes they cast. One guy is also throwing Orb Lightning, I think basically because I wanted to kind of try it out. And one guy is throwing Magma Eruption. The Orb Lightning is actually doing more damage to me than him, since it's jumping to my own troops. Like that, if you notice. So my healers are suffering from that, but some of my guys actually cast Incinerate off script to burn down the last of the Daibakimono, and the battle is over. So in Lapintha, lost my Cataphracts, lost 3 random Helots, and that's fine. In Cormark, we can view that battle as well. In Cormark, I actually have a squadron of Gigantes and no other mages, just archers and a few infantry. And so my Tyrant, Electos, is going to buff himself up. He's Earth 4 wearing his boots, interestingly. While some of my other Gigantes go straight in. This guy has actually already gone crazy. That's this guy, actually. He took 1 point of damage from an arrow, and so he's gone nuts. So the Gigantes charge in. They start fighting these Horned Serpents and the Oni. Everyone else pours in, and it's just a straight slugfest. The Gigantes are just tough enough to win this one. I do lose one of them there. The Oni kill him. But then my other Gigantes come into flank. They cut down the last of the Oni. There's a couple of Ubas standing back here trying to cast spells, but we stab one of them to death and the other one runs before we can reach her. So we also took Cormark. We did suffer more casualties because my archers were trying to exchange fire with the Daibakimono on the walls, which didn't go their way. My archers did actually retreat, but we've captured both fortresses. I'm actually at 0 treasury right now because of my recruitment. So what I'm going to do is we're going to stop recruiting some of these guys so that we can have enough money to start recruiting mages in both of our shiny new forts. So we've got Shackled Mages on repeat recruitment in both of those forts. We're also recruiting Shackled Mages in Shinuyama. up here, on top of that, we're going to be pumping out some Helot Warriors on repeat. So that'll be fine. I can recruit Lion Tribe also in this fort because it's a forest. And over here I could recruit Horse Tribe if I wanted Horse Tribe, which I don't really. Over here I've got 2 of my infantry commanders. Excuse me, once again, moving to take out these knights. I feel like they should be able to do this, but just in case, I'm actually going to send some troops with them. So we've got those 2. We'll send these 2 with 1, 2, 3, 4 slaves to back them up. And those commanders are scripted to cast a buff each and then Thunderstrike / Magma Eruption, which should definitely be enough. That should definitely be enough to do it. They've got another squadron of archers and another squadron of infantry ready to go in. So, shouldn't be a problem. Research-wise, my research has actually gone down slightly since the last turn. If I had my mages set to research, I would be up to over 1,600 points this turn, especially because I've begun mass-producing lightless lanterns with some of my fire gems. However, I'm moving in. We are going into Pythium this turn. In Fungwood, I was attacked by spiders and lost my dominion, but I won the battle against the spiders and the troll shaman. It's kind of a hilarious battle in a sad sort of way. So we've got just a whole bunch of spiders and this one troll shaman who has 1 death and 2 nature. The spiders go ahead and charge in. They have great spiders, giant spiders, and large spiders. Those are the giant ones right there. Sigvard the troll shaman is just buffing himself up. In the back, we've got this one random Water 2 Trophimos Sage who is just casting Liquid Body on himself right now. And my infantry basically charge in. A couple of them get webbed up. But spiders are just so undangerous that despite being totally webbed, my infantry are still winning. My mage is back there doing absolutely nothing, but the spiders are just getting chopped down by people who are mostly in webs. And my Helot Warriors, with their mighty Morale 7, are hacking their way through the enemy until the independent armies just up and rout. Sigvard is fatigued out, and then he goes to run and gets off the field with the Helots in hot pursuit. So, yeah, I lost 1 Helot Warrior and some random province defense, wiping out 50 large spiders, 4 great spiders, 11 giant spiders, a troll shaman, and 2 great spider commanders, I guess. Lost another scout here in the Banded Hills. My scout did manage to retreat to Shinuyama successfully, which is nice. And unexpected events. In the Sleepy Mountains, I gained order, lost unrest, but also lost population. That's right over here. In Avoca, I lost unrest, which is nice, and in Imain, I gained unrest and lost dominion. All fine. Nothing is the matter with any of that. So we've got our site searchers moving around. So, here comes the war. We're going in against Pythium. Now, right now, I'm not going to go over my scripting in huge detail. But in general, I was a little bit worried about this. I counted up slaves. I should have something like 20 plus communion slaves going into here. So all of my communion masters are boosted up to level 5. And of course, we have lots and lots of division of fatigue. So, this army, basically, I have a huge blob of infantry right at the front, and then I have random units scattered around the back to attract attention. At the very front, I have my cave crabs, 21 of them, and my Cyclops warriors. Actually, the Cyclops warriors, since they're contributing a whole lot of siege strength, well, yeah, we're gonna have them like that. Behind them, I have lines of infantry. I don't, unfortunately, have weapons of sharpness researched yet, nor do I have marble warriors, so I don't have the real high-level buffs. Marble warriors is alteration 7, which I will need to grab at some point here. I can hit alteration level 6 in 1 turn at pretty much any time. And then marble warriors will probably take 2 turns beyond that, but I'm going to hit construction level 7. I was thinking of carrying on towards construction level 8, but in fact, I'm going to redirect that research towards either conjuration or alteration, I think, or possibly enchantment. I could definitely use enchantment as well, because enchantment would give me Thunder Ward and Arrow Fend and Mass Flight. But let's do Alteration instead, because Alteration level 7 will also give me access to Fog Warriors. So we're going to go up to Alteration level 7. We're going to hit a third level 7 in a few turns here. But for right now, I'm going in with only relatively low level Earth buffs. However, what I'm doing is I'm spamming those Earth buffs, Strength of Giants and Legions of Steel, onto my infantry that's lined up at the front. I've thought about it, I'm not deploying battlefield wipes on this first battle, and mainly because I don't know if he's going to sally or if I'm just going to be fighting province defense, and I don't want to blow through absolutely all of my gems. If he does sally, I think this script will deal with him. What I'm doing is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mages in the back spamming out air elementals, 18 air elementals in 3 rounds. These mages up at the front are layering buffs onto my infantry. This guy... Which one? One of my lizard shamans here. Where is he? Lemnuti, who is also way at the back. Lemnuti is casting anti-magic first to buff my magic resistance, and then he's going to cast Howl, and we're going to give him... He's carrying 2 Astral Pearls and 6 Nature Gems, so he'll be able to do that in 2 distinct battles. My worry here is that he's going to sally with a big communion, and he's going to try to spam Thunderstrike or something. Now, if we look at Pythium, we have the Theurg Acolytes. Theurg Acolytes are only astral. If he had Theurgs, then Thunderstrike would be a serious concern. If he had Arch Theurgs, then all kinds of crazy things would be a concern. Theurgs and Arch Theurgs actually can both do both air and water shenanigans. So, but this... it does have some Theurgs, so he probably will be throwing some Thunderstrike. My goal with my current script is basically to overwhelm him with targets, and then use the air elementals to disrupt him. Amphimachos up here is throwing Shadow Blast, which he can do because he's Death 3 when carrying his Skull Staff. Asopos is carrying all the fire gems and wearing all the gear he would need to Firestorm. However, I'm not going to have him Firestorm because it would obliterate my infantry, and I don't have the army-wide fire resistance spells and the army-wide mass regeneration that I would need to live through the Firestorm. My mages could live because I can layer Temper Flesh, resist fire. I can layer quite a bit of fire resistance on my communion, and so they could survive. And Asopos could definitely survive because right now he is 29 fire resistant. He just doesn't take damage from fire pretty much ever. My cave crabs would survive because they're very high protection. And if it didn't go on too long, my Cyclops warriors might survive because while they don't have high protection, they do have very high hit points. However, my regular infantry would be roasted inside of a few rounds. So I don't want to obliterate my own army just to obliterate his, and I think this script will probably take care of his army anyway. These guys are going to go in first and take the brunt of the casualties, which is a little bit unfortunate. I actually want the Cyclops. Let's actually put the well, I have to have the Cyclops up front because they're going to draw the Thunderstrikes because they have a ton of hit points. Them and the cave crabs are definitely my evocation bait. The cave crabs probably primarily. 54 hit points in a square is a lot. Amphimachos and Asopos may also draw fire because they have 68 hit points in a square. So we'll see what happens there. The important thing is that my communion does not draw fire, which it shouldn't because they're all scattered out. They're not presenting a good target. And I have troops behind them. I have 2 squadrons. Let's actually have 3 squadrons behind them. And then these guys down to the side. The Howl will help me, but it will take a while for it to go off. I have to cast Communion Master. That'll take a round. I have to take anti-magic. That'll take a round and a half. So then round and a half. So 2.5, he'll start casting Howl. It'll go off just before the start of round 4 is when Howl will actually be cast. I have enough Communion Slaves that I'm not too worried about fatigue. I'm going to drop Earth Power. These guys are both actually summoning Earth Power, which is fine. All of my front line are basically summoning Earth Power as opposed to putting defensive buffs on themselves because they're going to be casting. Well, I guess I'm +4, so they're already level 5, which means Legions of Steel will already cost almost no fatigue. So yeah, instead of Earth Power, why don't you make yourself? Why don't you go Temper Flesh? You're summoning Earth Power there, so that's fine. Air Shield is a good one. I don't really want to Iron Skin because, as I said, I'm probably going to be drawing Lightning. And Iron Skin would only make me a more tempting Lightning target. So, Temper Flesh is a good one. Liquid Body is a decent one. I don't think it helps against piercing attacks. Flying Shield is also a decent one, but I don't have air magic on this guy, so I can't use that. Let's drop Stone Skin. It will protect me from arrows, at least, if there are arrows or javelins flying around. You're summoning Earth Power. Okay, that's fine. There are worse things you could do. Actually, why don't you go Temper Flesh as well? You're Tempering Flesh. You Temper Flesh. Honestly, I feel like Temper Flesh is probably the best protection I can give these guys. Actually, well, no. Stone Skin is still better against mundane attacks. Okay, and then we're dropping Mirror Image, Temper Flesh, Stone Skin, Air Shield, Flying Shield, and Earth Power, all into the Communion. So my Communion Slaves will be nearly invulnerable. I mean, they're going to have... My Communion Slaves are going to end up with 15 natural protection, Fortitude. They have a Flying Shield that interposes itself between half the attacks that come in and them. They're going to resist lightning. I have resist lightning going off somewhere, don't I? They're going to be mirror imaged. Instead of Temper Flesh, you should cast resist lightning. So they're going to resist lightning. And you're casting Stone Skin. We've already got a Stone Skin going off, so instead of Stone Skin, why don't you... Yeah, why don't you drop Protection from Fire? Because Protection from Lightning and Resist Lightning do not stack, sadly. So they'll resist Lightning, they'll resist Fire. Well, they're already resisting Fire because they've already got Temper Flesh. So they don't actually need that one. They've already got Flying Shield, I think. Mist Form. Drop Mist Form on them. So it'll be Mist Formed, Mirror Imaged, Stone Skinned, resisting Lightning, resisting Fire, and having Fortitude. And we'll have the Air Shield and the Flying Shield. So basically, my Communion Slaves will not die unless they take a direct hit from a Thunderstrike, which is what I want. These armies, unless this army sallies and does a whole bunch of damage to me, which it might, but unless it does that, I should crack this fort in one turn. At Wall Integrity 250, they have 160 enemy units inside, mainly humans. So that'll give them about 80 more siege defense. That'll be up to 330. This army has 223 siege strength. This army has 260. Should bust it in one turn, because that's almost 500 siege strength. This army is set up to Earthquake Trap. There's a lab here, so I'll be able to give them more gems if I need to. Right now I've set that up because I was worried about there being this army that was here last turn moving in to attack me. Excuse me again. It is also possible that this army will move this way to try to intercept this army. It might move this way to intercept this army. If these forces move straight this way, then this army is hosed. There's no nicer way to put that. They have no Communion Slaves whatsoever. They won't be able to actually do anything. The only members of this army that will be able to accomplish anything will be Asopos and Amphimakos, and they'll do damage, but they won't do enough damage. Even with the cave crabs. The cave crabs may well draw attention away from my my dudes here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I do have 2 communion slaves, so I'll boost everyone by 1 level, which will be enough to let them get their buffs off. It won't be enough, and then they'll go off script at level 2. Lemnuti may be able to cast anti-magic with an extra gem, and he may be able to cast anti-magic and howl, but doing so will probably detonate the shamans. So if this army advances in this direction, these troops are screwed, but I'm definitely going to break their fort. Well, no, actually, if they do that and stop this army, I won't quite break the fort in 1 turn. But I'll then be in their territory with big troops. And I'll still have Pelorus and Gargaros back here. I'm recruiting another Elder Cyclops, actually, for casting and forging power, and possibly to get a water random. I would really like a water random. Fenag here. Let's move him down there with his Cyclops. Potentially he can help. And it doesn't really matter which province he moves to. And we'll put those Cyclops... We'll put them just right up at the front. And him, we will give the standard commander orders of standing in the back doing nothing, please. I'm forging another Ring of Regeneration for one of my other tyrants, since I do have these 2 new ones. I've given them a little bit of scattered equipment. Asopos is by far my best equipped tyrant right now. Amphimakos is pretty good. Electos is casting Blight at this fort, just to kind of screw with Pythium. Because he can do that. It costs 5 Earth Gems. Well, actually, I don't want to spend the Earth Gems. Why don't you become the Prophet instead, Electos? It's worth having an Oppressor become the Prophet. It might be better overall to have Amphimakos become the Prophet, because he does have that death too. But I am not going to delay the attack. Now, if Amphimakos dies, he'll come back. If Asopos dies, he's screwed because I haven't cast Twice Born on him. What I should actually do is Gargaros. I'm going to Twice Born you. Just so that you'll come back if and when you die. Great. Okay. So, the attack is going in this turn. I'm also attacking down here, as I've said before. This army should be able to push right through this army. I mean, they have 40, I have 130, and our troops are of very similar quality. So with the extra numbers, I should just be able to crush this force and move forward into Embrace the Green Sea, Embracer, and the Great Blue. And that should be how the turn goes. I'm researching up here these troops. The majority of my troops here are moving down to join the attack on Pythium. We are not attacking Vanheim just yet. That'll be for some future time. Alizines is going to patrol. Eocleus is moving. We're recruiting some troops up here. I have 87 gold left, so I'm going to spend it recruiting archers in Shinuyama. And that will be our turn. I am actually going to put... I do actually need to put a few points of... Forget those archers. I need to put a few points of defense on each of these forts, I just realized. Which I had forgotten to do. Let's make that 8 for now. Make that 9. Next turn we'll improve it. And that'll be the turn. Of a note, Abyssia has taken over these provinces. I think I mentioned that last time. I don't know what he used to do it, but that's a little frightening. Okay, and we'll see how things develop in turn 45 when the war kicks off. I've been informed that my allies will be going in one turn after me, except Abyssia might potentially raid this turn, but I think they're pretty much just letting me go in one turn first and take the brunt of Pythium's attention, and then they're hoping to stab him in the back while his armies are all moving my way, which is fair. So I'm sure Pythium and I have had a conversation in which I pretty much admitted that I was attacking him, because there's no reason this would be if I wasn't. Like, there's legitimately no other excuse for this behavior. I have hundreds and hundreds of units, including explicitly siege-focused units, stacked up on the border. There's no way he doesn't know I'm attacking him anyway. So we had a conversation this term where he asked me, hey, what's up with those hundreds and hundreds of units on the borders? And I was like, oh, they're there for exercise. Helots love exercising near borders. It makes them feel like freedom is next door. So he knows, and we will see how that develops. So take care. I'll see you in turn 45. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is honor turn 45, and things are definitely kicking off. You can see here, TNG bounced a scout off of an Ashdodite province, AI Ashdod. More importantly, the war against Pythium has started, and Pythium has, of course, counterattacked, as is to be expected. So, in Lake Purple, my swarm of underwater independents took the province with no resistance. In Shade Forest, Pythium hit me with an Angel of Fury and a Harbinger. These are high-level astral summons that Pythium has access to. And you can see here, they're lightly geared. This Angel of Fury has boots of long strides, a chainmail of displacement to increase its defense skills and protection, a horror helmet to give it fear, and a frostbrand to give it AoE damage, as well as a flask of holy water to make it start off blessed. Pythium's blessing right here, reinvigoration, a penetration bonus for magic, and +1 HP. He also has a Harbinger, who is an air mage flying angel, with a chainmail of displacement and a wraith sword that gives it life drain. So, very, very interesting units. They are sacred, they are blessable. This one is a level 2 priest. And of course they can fly and are magic beings and have minor elemental resistances. So tough. Not unmanageable, but tough. In order to fight them, I'll have to hit them with either Tyrants or a Communion. And they're very likely to be able to dodge a Communion. Up here, where'd it go? Up here, I got hit by actually 6 angels. So if we see this, this is the result of one summoning spell. You get an Archangel, Shemael, who has a flambeau and is a level 4 fire mage, level 3 priest, and invulnerable, of course. And 5 angels of the host, who are all armed with flambeaus, which do extra armor-piercing fire damage, are invulnerable to some extent, not hugely, but somewhat invulnerable, and can fly and have awe, and are sacred. So awe means low morale troops like, for example, my Helots are very unlikely to be able to actually hit these units. So angels like this could probably sit in the middle of a circle of Helots and win a fight against like 100 or more of them, just because the combination of the invulnerable giving them reasonably decent protection, awe 5 or 6, making it very unlikely that the low morale Helots will actually attack them, and then their high defense skill will parry most of the hits that come in. They may take damage a couple of times. These angels of the host might take damage a couple of times if they were surrounded by Helots for several rounds, but they'd be very, very unlikely to actually die, unless those Helots were just buffed to the gills. So, you can see how this battle goes. Shemael is buffing, and in the time that Shemael buffs, his angels fly over here and just start stabbing my poor little Slinger province defense, who accomplish absolutely nothing. They've all been blessed, though they've got that blessing from Pythium. They've got that blessing, and then the Slingers just rout, and they kill my commander, and it's all over. Shemael, interestingly, appeared to be scripted to stay behind and cast spells, because he defaulted to fire darts there. I did make Electos my prophet. Other battles, I took out these knights in Sotera. Just my 2 Trophimos Oppressors casting damage spells, Thunderstrike and Magma Eruption, from behind my wall of Helots. In Shade Forest, that was the angel attacking me, and then I attacked the fortress in Gold Crags, and Pythium did a very smart thing here. He played this just right. So my big army storms in. What he's got is, he's got his province defense, and then he sent out 3 mages with just a few infantry. I think they must have been set to patrol. So he's got a Theurg Acolyte there, a Theurg Acolyte there, and then a regular Theurg with 4 Astral Pearls. This is enough to trigger gem use. This will make, having mages with pearls on the battlefield will make your mages go ahead and say, alright, I should use my gems. Which is a little bit unfortunate because I gave them all the air gems I had. I didn't have extras when we started this escapade. And so, these guys are going to spend all of their air gems, and not only that, but Lemnuti is going to spend all of his gems. Why? Because I forgot to turn Lemnuti onto conservative magic gem use. That's a very important setting, and one that I forgot to use. So everyone's casting their spells. My troops are moving forward. They've slaved up and etherealized themselves. And now I'm casting buffs onto my infantry. Some of my infantry has actually just advanced. I've got flaming arrows active, all kinds of good stuff, but here's the interesting thing. Or here's uninteresting thing, at least. It hasn't happened just yet, it looks like. My air elementals land. Okay, that purple flash. Let's look at... Where'd he go? We need to look at the Theurg. Give me 1 second. Where's the Theurg? Shackled Mages, Shamans, Theurg. He's actually dead, but he cast Doom just before he died. The instant he was trampled, he managed to cast Doom. And what Doom does is, it curses every unit on the battlefield. Every enemy unit on the battlefield, that is. So my whole army is now cursed, including all of my commanders. Being cursed gives you a much, much higher chance of getting permanent afflictions. So that's just how my army is now. They are very, very likely to get permanent afflictions when they're injured, which is a real pain in the butt, especially for my commanders, and double especially for my tyrants. But in any case, we win the battle. We did expend all of our air gems, and we also, of course, as I said, expended all of Lemnuti's nature gems, because before we quite managed to kill all the remaining enemies, he does cast Howl, and he spends literally every nature gem casting Howl. Why he did that, I'm not entirely sure. He had a magic boost of 4, so he was effectively nature 6. And yet he spent 6 gems casting Howl. I think it's because the game tries to use gems to reduce fatigue before it calculates out how the fatigue is divided among the slaves. So, yeah, anyway, that's a thing that happened. And immediately thereafter, the fight ends before my air elementals can even land. So, a little bit of a waste, but we're going to deal with the situation in any case. We'll set these guys on hold and fire closest, actually. I want them to hold and fire closest. That is fine. Yeah, you can go without orders. I don't care about you, and I don't care about you. And you guys can also be on hold and fire closest. Okay, so here's the deal. So I'm mostly out of gems, except Asopos still has his fire gems, and Amphimachos still has 4 death gems. So what I'm doing with this army is, I've set all of my commanders to start off, all of my communion masters to start off with protection from fire and temper flesh. Temper flesh gives you fire resistance. Protection from fire gives you fire resistance. Those two stack because they are a different effect. I have set Asopos to cast Phoenix Power and then Firestorm. It will knock him unconscious. He has 6 fire gems. He's level 5 right now. Phoenix Power will push him up to level 6. He'll spend the extra gem to push himself up to level 7. That should reduce the fatigue to a little over 100%. So it will knock him out, but it will also set the entire battlefield on fire. Probably, and then my commanders, my water commanders, who are up by my line of infantry, are going to cast Weapons of Sharpness once, because I do have that researched, and then Magma Eruptions, and my air commanders are all going to cast Thunderstrike. So, the goal here is basically to I'm storming the castle because I busted the walls in 1 turn, and the goal is to mutually annihilate all of my infantry and all of the infantry that's inside the castle, and I think I can accomplish that. Amphimachos is going to be throwing Shadow Blasts in support. Asopos is basically going to be sleeping, but he's so fire resistant that the Firestorm won't bother him at all. Amphimachos is only 10, so he is going to cast Resist Fire on himself. Protection from Fire, I'm sorry. Which will push that up to 15, or... yeah. So, they're going to be fine in the Firestorm. These guys are going to be fine in the Firestorm because they're going to be significantly protected. These guys might potentially die. It depends on whether the buffs carry over to them or not, and I know Summon Earth Power missed about half of my Lizard Shamans earlier, but that's just a risk I'm going to have to take. It won't bring me down below the slave threshold, even if they do die, so it'll be fine. Over here, this smaller communion has set an earthquake trap, and they're going to move straight into this army. Trading this army in its entirety for this army would be fine from my perspective. This is a lot of Theurgs and Theurg Acolytes here. This is a lot of mages, but very, very cheap mages. Admittedly, Theurg Acolytes are also very, very cheap mages. Let's, in fact, look at Theurg Acolytes. Theurg Acolytes are slightly more expensive than my Shackled Mages, and Theurgs are quite a bit more expensive than my Oppressors, so trading equivalent numbers across the board would be fine from my perspective. Theurg Communicants are also very expensive units, so killing a whole bunch of Theurg Communicants would also help. So, yeah, the Earthquake, I think, will hit them before they can buff. And it should pretty much wipe out most of this army. Now, it won't wipe out Tamar the Spectral Mage. He's very likely to survive it, because he's ethereal, and Earthquake has a hard time hitting ethereal units. It won't wipe out the Camazots. And a good fraction of the infantry are also likely to survive, because they have reasonably high defense stats, and they are wearing armor. So, after that, we're just going to spam out Magma Eruptions, and see if we can, you know, cause enough damage to end the battle there. But my Communion should come through fine, because they will all be flying, and so they will not be hit. Philotor here is going to cast Flight, then Temper Flesh, then Air Shield, then Mist Form, then Mirror Image. He's just straight buffing all of the Communion slaves. My commanders and my infantry are going to die, but so long as my Trophimos Oppressors stay alive, whatever of my infantry survives is likely to still stay on the field. Unfortunately, some of them are starving, which hurts their morale quite a bit, but we'll see. We'll see what we can achieve. I may lose this battle, but I expect that even if I do lose, I will inflict massive, massive casualties, which is really all I care about. Now, there is a possibility that this army is going to dodge me and go down here to Gold Crags. But the castle storming should happen first. In which case, I'll storm the castle, and if I win, I'll be inside the castle by the time they show up. And if I lose, I'll have already retreated, so it won't matter whether this army arrives here or not. So, probably actually he won't move there. Probably he'll go after this army. This is a very big and powerful stack, so he may feel confident about this. It kind of depends on whether he's anticipated the Earthquake Trap or not. Over here, I've given Gargaros a whole bunch of reloading gems, and he is sneaking up to reload the army. Should have done that beforehand. Over here, this is another thing I should have done beforehand, I should have thought of. Cadmos and Simois are forging water bracelets to boost themselves up to water 3. I'm researching Alteration. I also actually need to get up to Conjuration level 6, and I was reminded of this by something that I saw from Pythium. Sea King's Court allows you to summon a Sea King, who is a Water 3 mage who can use Gift of Water Breathing to bring humans underwater. I was reminded of that by this. He's got a Sea King down here. Zagmi the Sea King, as well as Sea Trolls, and he's brought down his Theurg Communicants. So, he probably has a Communion down here. He probably also has a couple of Theurgs. Which is fine, that's kind of what I expect. It does mean I'm not going to be able to bum rush him out of the water, because his Sea Trolls and the magic that his Sea King can cast will wipe out this army. Now, there would be casualties on his part, but it still wouldn't be a very good trade. Because numbers-wise, numerically, we're actually fairly even, it looks like. And my troops are all independents, while his troops are mostly independents, but with magical backup. And Sea Trolls, of course. He's also got a Lumber Construct for some reason. I'm not sure why he summoned a Lumber Construct, but he has one. This army in the Wicker Woods, we actually saw a battle, an independent army attacked them. They've got 266 units, including 1 Theurg, but no slaves. Their army is almost entirely Principes, which are good units, very solid units. And he has spammed out a lot of them. He has so many Principes, it is unreal. Pelorus over here. He is, I think, going to join the attack. He's lightly geared, but he does have an Amulet of Resilience and a Lodestone Amulet and a weapon. So, do I have a shield to give you? I do not. Could give you copper plate. Let's give you copper plate. Now, because you have, yeah, 5 reinvigoration from that. So, we're going to script him in the usual way. He's going to go Temper Flesh, Earth Power, Fire Shield. Where, come on, where's Fire Shield? There it is. And then he's going to attack. So, when the Earthquake goes off, he should kind of hold things down. The Earthquake won't kill him. He has high enough protection that it won't. Now, the only thing is, when the Earthquake goes off, it will hurt him. Or it's likely to hurt him. And when it hurts him, he'll go crazy. So, he gets 1 spell before the Earthquake goes off. Temper Flesh won't stop it from berserking him. Might have to cast Iron Skin instead. The problem is Iron Skin will make him more vulnerable to lightning. And Stone Skin will hardly increase his natural protection. It'll increase his natural protection by 6. He's also not wearing a helmet, which is a little bit unsettling. Kinda sending him in half-cocked. Let me take Electos' shield away. And his Earth Boots away, because I think Pelorus... No, Pelorus is only Earth 2. Well, we'll give Pelorus this shield. That will help his... that'll give him air shield, so that'll be useful. Yeah, I guess Temper Flesh is probably the way to go. If the Earthquake berserks him, then it berserks him. Hopefully he'll at least... Yeah, he won't get off Earth Power before both Earthquakes hit, and both Earthquakes are almost certainly going to berserk him. He doesn't have regen either. Sending Pelorus into this might be a death sentence. To be fully honest. Well, let me see. What 1 spell could he cast before the explosion, before the earthquakes that will help? Oh, actually, wait. He should be able to cast... If I give him a gem, he can cast Mist Form. Or... He has air random. Can he cast... Yes, he can cast Flight. Okay, so the first spell he casts is Flight. Then Earth Power. Then Temper Flesh. And then he attacks rear. Okay, that'll be fine. Great. So, the Flight will keep him from being hit by the Earthquake, because he's an air random. The Earth Power will keep him reinvigorated, and then the Temper Flesh will lower the damage that comes in by half. Then he will attack the rear of the enemy army. Should he attack the front? Nah, he'll attack rear and see if he can kill the Spectral Mage. Okay, great. So that will be the plan. These guys are just researching. I don't really need... You could cast... Nothing. There's nothing useful you can cast right now. Whatever. I'm building up some Earth Gems, which is nice. I've got some Water Gems. As soon as I get those Water Bracelets, I'll probably start summoning Sea Trolls. Down here, I'm recruiting Adepts of the Iron Order. I'm recruiting Trophimos Sages over here. I'm going to need to swap to recruiting Sages over here as well, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, actually, I tell you what, I have enough slaves to form a communion down here for defensive purposes. So why don't you recruit Trophimos Oppressors instead for just a couple of rounds? Ideally, I'll want to try and get a communion underwater to combat Pythium's underwater communion. It'll depend on where that communion moves. I imagine he's going to come back into Lake Purple. I have the money to put, like, a ridiculous quantity of province defense in Lake Purple. Like, if I wanted to spend all my money, I could put 40 points of province defense in Lake Purple, which would give me, I don't know how many is this, another 60 units or so? How many units do I get per point? It looks like 3 units per 2 points. Yeah, so 3 units per 2 points. That would give me another, like I said, about another 60 units. Can 180 deal with all these guys? Probably not, because I imagine Zagmi is going to... I imagine that what he's going to do is he's a Water 3 mage. He's probably also wearing a Water Bracelet to make him Water 4, and possibly a Robe of the Sea. He's going to summon Water Power, and then he's going to cast Living Water, which will summon a bunch of Water Elementals, and Water Elementals regenerate very quickly underwater, as well as having multiple attacks. So, plus his Sea Trolls regenerate. I don't imagine this battle is winnable. It might be worth it to do damage, but also I don't know what his Communion will be casting. Because Lightning Bolt can be cast underwater. Actually, it's probably they're just casting more Water Elementals. Tell you what. I'm going to buy 21 Province Defense here, which will cost me a couple hundred gold, but will about 400 less than 40. That should trigger gem usage. I think that's enough to trigger gems. Maybe relative to the size of the enemy army. Well, we'll hope it's enough to trigger gems, and these guys are going to pull back. Mercenary-wise, Pythium has hired all the mercenaries. He spent his money getting every last mercenary he can, which is fair. If all goes well this turn, I'll take this fort and I'll break this army, which will open up this area to me. I will, no matter how it goes, I anticipate losing most of my troops doing so. But if it works out, I will still have my Communions. And I'll also have these reinforcements coming in. And next turn, I'll have these reinforcements from Phlegra coming in. Including large numbers of Helit soldiers. I will actually, I think, get a few more Gigantes. And then make the rest Helit warriors, because I need some frontline infantry. There we go. I'm also going to have reinforcements moving in from Delca, and of course from Nom and Shepherd's Haven. How do I feel about Hoburg Militia? They have high magic resistance and high defense skills, so they can take up space. They take more recruitment points than Helits, though, and recruitment points are kind of a limiter for me right now. Like, they cost fewer resources, but... So what I can do here is I can go archers and then fill out the rest with Hoburgs. Okay, that gives me more bodies overall. The other option is Cyclops Warriors. Actually, if all I want is tough bodies, Cyclops Warriors are probably my best bet here. They'll certainly eat up my money, but... they don't cost hardly anything else, is the thing. Yeah, there we go. And money I have, as it happens. Okay, there we go. That'll do it. That'll do the business. So, the Angels, the only good answer I have to Angels is Tyrants. Unless I can catch them in a Communion trap, which I probably can't. My troops cannot deal with the Angels, so they're just going to be raiding me, and that's going to have to be okay. This posse of Angels, they might go over here to try and besiege my fort. That's why I have both of these guys, all three of those guys, on move and patrol. Cyclops can deal enough damage to batter through an Angel's invulnerability. Now, what they can't do is hit Angels reliably, because Angels have very high defensive stats. But with this many units, including all these heavy cavalry, I think if the Angels come after me, I can... if the Angels come after my fort, I can deal with it. I think. We're going to have to move my Trophimos commanders here into the middle of these squads, just to make sure they won't be immediately murdered to death. And we're going to have these guys hold and attack flyers. While these guys are going to hold and fire. Hold and fire. Hold and attack closest. Hold and attack closest. Actually, we're going to set 5 units each to guard commander as well. Why? Oh, because you can only have 3 squads. Well, hold up. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, that'll keep my Trophimus commanders alive for at least a moment if the angels turn on them, and should hopefully give some of the other units time to come in and surround them. Areopus. I need to move down here to start summoning things. Up here I've got my research crews. I've got a research army up this way as well. They're just gonna kinda sit here and research for the moment. I do need to keep my research up. We're gonna go up alteration to level 7, as I mentioned, which will give me some nice stuff, including Fog Warriors, which is a fantastic spell that will make my, in combination with Weapons of Sharpness, will make my heals incredibly, incredibly dangerous. And we'll see how it develops. Next turn, Uruk, Abyssia, and Tianxi should be going in. You can see here, looks like Tianxi is at least getting ready to go in. They've got a whole bunch of living Mercuries and their god right there. Uruk is moving their armies in this direction. So hopefully this army of Pythiums is going to be distracted by the need to protect against the backstabs. If he comes after me, if Pythium throws all of their troops against me, might be dicey depending on the results here, because that army and the army that is in this fortress are a big fraction of Pythium's power. Now, these 2 armies are a significant fraction of my power as well, but hopefully I can deal with the situation. I think I can. Gargaros with his Sword of Swiftness. He's carrying gear that would make him pretty decent at taking out angels. He's also carrying gems. I'll tell you what. What if we take that away? We take the gems away. And we send you on angel hunting duty, Gargaros. If you go down there, now they can fly, so they can hit a variety of different provinces. But it's just a matter of kind of guessing where they're going. Why don't you move there? And we're going to script you for combat. We're going to script you with Temper Flesh, of course. Mist Form? Yeah, Mist Form. Let's give you 1 ear gem. And actually script you with... Well, now, Mist Form doesn't work against magical weapons, and all of the Angel's weapons are magical, so... We're going to go Temper Flesh. I mean, Mist Form will stop 1 hit. Mist Form. Summon Earth Power. I actually probably want the Earth Power first, because I know they're going to spend at least 1 round buffing as well. So, Earth Power... Corpse Candle could actually be a really interesting one for anti-thug work like this, because it summons 3 distractions, basically. That is a thought. Or Will-o'-the-Wisps, which do... Well, they're fire resistant, but they're not decay resistant, except in that they have high magic resistance. Thoughts, thoughts, thoughts. Let's get the Mist Form, though. So let's Earth Power, Mist Form, Temper Flesh. The Fire Shield won't hurt them very much, so I won't really bother with it. But then we're going to attack enemy flyers with Gargaros. And with his regeneration and his relatively high stats and HP in general, with the Temper Flesh active, when he berserks, his protection will be 20. I need it to be higher than that. So Earth Power, they're not going to be casting lightning at him, so he can Iron Skin. So Earth Power, Iron Skin, Temper Flesh. I'm going to script Mist Form for his 4th, but I don't know that it's going to get off before he's attacked. And we will give him those 3 Gigantes on guard commander. And so they'll move down there. And if I can guess, if he intercepts this group, he'll probably kill it. That Archangel, he would probably kill that group too, to be honest, because Angels of the Host are not that dangerous to somebody with magical weapons. Ooh, it's a question. It is a question and an issue. Let's actually send Gargaros up there to patrol. Then we'll take Perseus here. We will give him... what kind of equipment? He doesn't really have any equipment. Because see, here's what I'm thinking. Perseus can summon fire elementals. And fire elementals would be... they are highly fire resistant, so against these guys they would work. Well, against these guys they wouldn't really work. Nah, we'll let Perseus and Eurytus just research. Exactly how fast are those angels? 1 second, I need to look. I need to see what these flyers' map move is, so I can determine whether or not they're going to be able to... what provinces they're going to be able to hit. Map move 32. Okay. So they can move at least 2. They can skip a province. So from here, he could hit that fort. He could probably hit Cerny. He could hit... let's have these guys move down there and move and patrol. Because I think that's a big enough army to probably take them on. Yeah, it's just kind of a guessing game, to be honest. I'm protecting my forts because they're the important ones. If he takes out these provinces, oh well. I mean, that's life. I'll just take him back. We can re-raid provinces back as quickly as necessary. But so long as I get patrollers on my forts that can catch and kill angels that might hit me, I'll be alright. Phlegra, actually, he might be able to shut down Phlegra. So I think both of these groups could potentially hit Phlegra. Oh, tough call. I need Phlegra to not be shut down, so Gargaros, just patrol in Phlegra for now. And to help you with that, I will give you all of these soldiers. Actually, no I won't. No I won't. The soldiers will only hurt. If the angels fly down in the middle of a big pack of helots and get surrounded, they might successfully HP rout my army before Gargaros can go berserk. And that would be a huge problem. So, that's going to be the turn. Hopefully these two battles will go well. If they don't, then might have a problem. But I have enough mage recruitment that I'll be able to get another big communion up very, very rapidly if I need to. Research-wise, I am still a little bit behind the curve of the very leaders of Pythium and Agartha. I might not be behind Pythium anymore, depending on how many of his mages he's mobilizing. But say that 5 times fast. Many mages mobilizing, many mages mobilizing, many mages mobilizing. But, we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in turn 46.